you do know everyone and everything regarding Sarver, so tell us your observations, 5 minutes or less, on everything you saw happen with Sarver yesterday.
So, first of all, I got to plug Basketball Illuminati because we're dropping a second episode
There's
tomorrow.
no time for that or cinephobe plugs.
No,
we got to get to the serious
Jesus Christ,
stuff.
Dan!
There's no
Dan,
time.
it's all contextual. Just stop talking for a second. Basketball Illuminati, we got an extra episode coming out tomorrow because we interviewed David Bodzin, who was the employee who got pantsed by Robert Sarver during the Ice Bucket Challenge back in 2013 or 2014. When that happened to him, that story came out, and then last year, Robert Sarver expressed remorse and apologized and said it was explained to him after the fact how that was inappropriate and all that. We learned from David Bodzin today, which you'll hear tomorrow, that he didn't hear an apology from Robert until that statement 7 years later, which is insane. That is insane. That this guy would sit here and say, oh, yeah, I felt bad and they told me I shouldn't have done it and it was inappropriate. But he never apologized, not even like in a corporate, in cold way of just like writing a letter or sending an email or having an assistant come talk to him. He just didn't address the guy. His statement is as myopic as Robert Sarver has ever been. He says, words that I deeply regret now overshadow nearly 2 decades of building organizations. It's not just words, buddy. It's not just words. It's actions. It's things that you did in the workplace to people. It's the environment you fostered. He's trying to make it about the N-words, the N-bombs that he dropped, which, by the way, also are terrible, right? He says, as a man of faith, I have never known Robert to ever mention his faith in any way. That was a funny statement. And then he blames Dan. He doesn't blame himself. He doesn't take culpability. He says, in our current unforgiving climate, it's become painfully clear that that is no longer possible, that, taking time to focus and make amends. He's blaming us, the media. He's blaming fans. He's blaming all of us, as opposed to saying, I did shitty shit and didn't apologize for it in the time, even though I was told multiple times in the moment, what you're doing is wrong. He is a guy that, by the investigation's own words, is someone who views rules and regulations as challenges, right? To the bitter end, this dude is fighting against saying, I did that shit and I messed up and I never was remorseful in the moment or even after having stuff pointed out to me. That's who he is. That's where he's at. This team is getting sold. Good riddance. Everyone in Phoenix is ecstatic.
Why did he sell? Why did he sell? Did he have to sell? And yes, you're right that statement, I was stunned that statement read the way that it did, that you had time to prepare that, and that was not much in the way of apology as it began with, as a man of faith. I thought all of a sudden I was listening again to the Brenneman Castellanos thing.
Mm-hmm. No, you know what it is? It's worse than Dan Gilbert's letter. The only difference between this and the Dan Gilbert's letter is that it was in print as opposed to Comic Sans. But in terms of the content and what we're talking about, this is worse than Dan Gilbert's letter. And it should be ridiculed as much, if not more, than Dan Gilbert's letter was, even though Comic Sans was an interesting choice for a font. But it's being sold, Dan, for a simple reason: economics. This isn't because he's being forced to sell by the league. This isn't because the 29 other owners are saying, shame on you, you're embarrassing us. This is about sponsors saying, buddy, I don't care whether you did it or not, right? The old Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. I don't care, right? What I care about is I'm affiliated with your organization and you're in the news for this, and that's hurting my bottom line. And so if you're Robert Sarver, you can own this team in spite of everybody and say, I don't need you sponsors, and lose tens of millions of dollars every year. Or you can sell it for perhaps the largest sale price in the history of this league and make a lot of money walking away happy.
I mean,
it's an easy economic decision.
Last week on the show, David Sampson told us that outrage doesn't work and we should all boycott the NBA and its sponsors to actually inflict change. Would you say that in this situation, outrage has in fact worked and put pressure on the sponsors, which in then turn puts pressure on Sarver to sell?
Lowest energy I've ever heard Jess talk with.
Yeah.
Coming down from a Cafecito crash.
Oh,
I would.
Can
I pose a theory before you answer that question? Did the outrage? Did outrage just mean huge money offers started rolling in? Like, this would be a pretty good time for you to sell, and this is what's available to you.
Answer me first.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything, right? It's the outrage definitely made it loud out there that this is crazy that this is all he got hit with. I think internally there were things at work. Dan, you started with talking about Adam Silver. Was that suspension enough? And it's because he went to the letter of the law. The interesting question I asked on Basketball Illuminati yesterday was that even if Adam Silver was autonomous, even if he didn't have to answer to anybody, would he have gone further than what he did? And I don't think he would have, because I think it sets in motion what's happening now. Everyone's angry, everyone's upset. Sponsors are like, this is a bad look. And then, this is the part where Sampson was right. Pressure on the sponsor, not pressure on the league, pressure on the sponsor creates pressure on Robert Sarver. And Mike, I forgot what your question was, but
I'm saying that because of all the surrounding drama, that all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and he may have meant that, that he's not going to sell. And then someone called him with like a $3 billion offer. He's like, well, maybe I was rushing to a decision here.
And that's the play it forward part of this. Who's going to buy this team? I hear people saying Bob Iger. I know locally in Phoenix, people have long romanticized the return of Jerry Colangelo. And obviously, I can tell you guys this. Grant Hill is someone who's long wanted to own an NBA team. He's a part owner of the Atlanta Hawks. He played for the Suns. He lived in Phoenix. He loves it here. His family loved it here. He's a guy that I could see being on the list of people trying to purchase the Suns. But I'm telling you right now, the last time we had one of these with the Clippers, we were talking about Larry Ellison and all these people, and then Steve Ballmer just came in and said, $2 billion, cash, no questions asked. I wouldn't be surprised if someone came in that we don't have on our short list with just a shit ton of money and said, make it happen, here it is, I don't want to talk about it. And the big thing here is Phoenix is a great location, and it's a free agent destination when it's not being mismanaged. So and it's a great team right now. This doesn't come by very often. Usually when teams are sold, they are middling. This Sarver's getting to sell his team at its absolute highest value.